Welcome back to This Week in Bevy, where the Bevy 0.18 development cycle has kicked into full swing, while many ecosystem crates are releasing their 0.17 version. As usual, we'll leave out crates from the crates section that are mainly just updates to 0.17 with no major changes. We also see some Ludum Dare entries this week, in addition to Exofactory releasing a demo for Steam Next Fest. And getting into the PRs this week, 21.472 makes improvements to the status quo when it comes to disabling features when using the Bevy crate. This is a developer experience improvement for people who are using default features equals false and trying to select the set of features that work for their application. Notably, the high-level profiles flavors come in 2D, 3D, UI, and default, while the mid-level collections features, which notably includes a new dev collection containing the dev tools, lives between the high-level and the individual features. These include things like the dev tools, audio, scenes, picking, and more. It also breaks down the 3D and 2D and UI APIs into render and API feature sets. All of the features that you're used to still exist, so you could specify every single one yourself, but the mid and high level feature sets are a significant improvement. Moving on to Solari, 21.391 brings the beginning of a real-time Solari specular materials implementation. Specular materials are those that deal with reflected light, like polished surfaces. And a brand new Aabb gizmo was added in 21.356. This follows after a change last week that renamed the old cuboid gizmo to cube because, well, it was a cube and not a cuboid. You can turn on the Aabb gizmos in any 3D scene, which is a wonderful addition to gizmos. And next up, 21.466 introduces a generalized ring shape to any underlying 2D primitive. This PR in particular is a model PR in my opinion. It includes code examples, the objective, what the PR is actually doing with visualizations, as well as implementation details, and 2D and 3D showcases. If you're wondering what a PR should look like, this is one of the best PRs I've seen in a while. That said, you can imagine this feature as outlines or hollow shapes, and the new rings are extrudable and accepts any 2D primitives. There's some movement on camera controllers as well this week. In 22.15, a new crate was created to contain camera controllers. These camera controllers are often used in Bevy examples, but now can be also used to kickstart new projects by enabling the relevant feature, such as FreeCam. And as you might imagine, relatedly, a new FreeCam controller example was added in 21.477. Finally, Alice's merge train is a maintainer level view into active PRs and how the Bevy sausage is made. So if you're looking for more real-time Merge Monday content, definitely go follow Alice. And kicking off the showcases this week, this is a city builder editor. This custom editor is supposed to be a simple editor for spawning, changing transforms, and despawning assets. Next up, we've got lighting improvements to fields of Aaru. This includes a new soft layer of specular highlights, and it's notable that some of the changes here are intended to make the game look good on social media, as that is a specific goal of the project. It is really nice to see people who are building games thinking about this, because at the end of the day, if nobody knows about your game, nobody's going to play your game. And that rolls us into a work-in-progress Ragdoll implementation for Bevy Animation Graph. These are unmerged changes intended for the Bevy Animation Graph crate, and from the demo it seems to be working pretty well. To build a home built a functional overworld this week, the overworld is implemented with a second camera and using render layers. According to the developer, this brought a level of simplicity to the implementation that they weren't quite expecting. And this is an experimental 2D game environment that uses the cursor to fire projectiles in a platformer-like setting. The developer has said they aren't really planning on taking this anywhere and developing it more, but it's still very cool. And in our second showcase for work-in-progress crate features, this is leptos-bevy-canvas state syncing on main, now supports syncing Bevy states and signals with leptos. And something in the back of my head is just always pleased to see 2D Raytraced Lighting implementations. This 2D Raytraced Lighting was added to the Super Meat Boy style 2D platformer, and has improved the aesthetic overall quite a bit. And this is Poker Slice Adventures, a turn-based poker card game inspired by Puzzle Quest that's currently looking for feedback. The first dungeon is available to play on itch.io, so you can go over and check it out. And then we've got 2D pixel art procedural generation. This is procedurally generating a fully deterministic, infinite, tile-based 2D pixel art world, now with roads and settled areas, with houses. And then in this Ludum Dare entry, connect ships you've defeated to your own ship to grow bigger as you work your way through waves of enemies. Next up, we've got 3 weeks with Bevy. This 3D Asteroids implementation is open source and playable. Wild Spike's got some updates using Bevy Map Scatter, This is the biome generation of wild spikes, which was ported to Bevy Map Scatter. The process takes advantage of avian physics to find coordinates for the trees. And Exofactory, a factory building game, has been soft launched on Steam in anticipation of Steam Next Fest. It is available for Windows and Linux. And here we have another Ludum Dare 58 entry. This is Mission Ares, where you control planetary mining robots to ensure the safe extraction of materials. And finally, for the showcases, we have Eternal, which is a 2D game, shader, and debug UI experiment that are all combined into this prototype repo that is open source. Over in the crates section, we have a number of crates that are updated to 0.17, but here we'll only be talking about ones with major new features or refactor. Starting off with Bevy Lit 0.8. Bevy Lit is a 2D lighting crate for Bevy. 0.8 brings two new lighting sources, Spotlight 2D and Texture Light 2D, as well as enabling the possibility to create custom light sources with the Custom Light 2D plugin. And BeatFlow 0.0.7 is out. This is a general purpose ECS control flow library. For Bevy 0.17, BeatFlow received a major refactor, cleaning up and simplifying the model. BeatFlow now leans into the request response pattern, with the getOutcome event indicating entity observers should respond with a corresponding outcome event. The response can be immediate, over several frames, or even async. Over in the educational section, we've got Dependency Injection like Bevy Engine from scratch. This resource has existed for a while, but there's a new edition this week covering the compile time impact of dependency injection, along with a new demo. Note that the next educational post doesn't have a dark mode, so this is going to be a very bright page. Here we have Bevy Rust Game Development Chapter 2. Chapter 2 of the series introduces procedural generation using wave function collapse, terrain tiles, and more. And that's it for This Week in Bevy this week. As always, we have all the pull requests that were merged over on the website if you want to get involved. And otherwise, I'll see you in the next one. Have a great rest of your week.